I love my wife too much. I don't want to have to like constantly be in battle about this, and I really want to live my life in a way that pleases God. But today we're going to be talking about the subject of dealing with lust. Now, of course, this is not just a men-only thing. We want to acknowledge and recognize that we always get comments, guys, women deal with this too. And so we just want to acknowledge.
But we're guys, so we're going to talk about it from a guy's perspective.
We're going to give our perspective. I remember reading a study that said 50% of Christian men admit to watching porn on a regular basis.
Admit to it.
And what that probably means is that there's 50% of Christian men that are honest. Because, I mean, let's be real, like this is something that a lot of men struggle with. It's not uncommon.
A lot do.
And a lot of women, of course. I want to keep remembering it's not just a guy issue. And so we want to talk about this, have a discussion around dealing with lust and things like that. And the reason why is because what Jesus says, if you look on someone with lust in your heart,
you've already committed adultery with that person in your heart.
So that's tough because that's like a super high standard. And I want to put this in context.
He raised the bar.
Yeah.
Jesus raised the bar even from the Old Testament.
Yeah, he even says in that same passage, if you have hate towards someone, you've done murder. And so like Jesus sets a very high standard. How do we wrestle with this? How do we deal with this as people who are trying to live as authentic Christian lives as we possibly can? But what are some of the things that you've found that has been helpful for you in overcoming this battle? And maybe you're not perfect every single day. I know I'm not perfect every single day, but what are some of the things that you found that have been helpful?
Yeah, first thing that comes to mind is just being in the Word. Like literally you can take any subject, like, oh, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with this. If you're in the Word, like the Lord, the Word is living and active. It's sharper than any double-edged sword, and it like empowers us to walk closer to the Lord, to walk more in obedience. That's just, I mean, I know it's kind of general, but that's a big deal, like being in the Word. The Word says resist certain things, but when it comes to sexual immorality, when it comes to the lust stuff, it actually says to flee. So for me, it really has been training myself, learning how to flee areas where I might get entrapped.
But what does that look like practically? Say, does it literally mean like get up and like run? Like what does that look like?
For me, it's being very intentional to the point where some people would be like, Paul, you're overkill, but being very intentional about what type of movies I watch. In a way, there's a little bit of gray area there, like, some people might be able to watch something that someone else might not, but I just need to be very selective.
One of the things that I found that is pretty helpful is this concept I read in a book called Every Young Man's Battle. It's a really great book on dealing with lust and sexual temptation. I'll link it in the description below.
Do it.
But one of the concepts in that book is the concept of bouncing your eyes.
Oh, the eye bounce. That's
the
a good
eye
one.
bounce.
Practical.
The idea is like you can't stop what you see. Like it's just there. But what you can control is what do you focus on in life. There's a common saying in Christian circles, like the first look isn't really like a sin. It's the second look. It's the one where you're actually choosing to dwell on it.
Right.
This strategy of, there's something here. I'm not going to focus on it. I'm going to focus on something different or better, whether that's in my mind or actually literally looking at somewhere else and literally bouncing the eyes.
I guess just where we are as a society, you got social media. You got, of course, movies. They've been around for a while, but now it's like this rise of social media. We're talking about practical stuff. So like Instagram. About a year ago, I found myself, I'd be on Instagram and I would start browsing and I would, it would start out, it would be very innocent. I would hop on the search page because I just wanted to see what other people were posting, and pretty quickly turned into some very just sensual images. But suddenly I started dwelling on that and it can be a very slippery slope. So again, I'm like, I had to cut that out. I really don't go to the search page anymore on Instagram.
Wow, I respect that. I mean, I think that matters a lot. Jesus talks about if your hand offends you, chop it off. Now that doesn't mean to actually like chop off your arm or anything else like that.
Who knows?
It's a parable. It basically means like, hey, if there's something that you struggle with in life, it's better for you to try and like remove that rather than trying to always deal with it. So one thing that I've done for me on Netflix is to literally put parental controls on my own account on Netflix.
That's interesting.
So Netflix actually doesn't allow me to see like mature type of content.
Wow.
And like I'm like upset about that because there were a handful of shows that I really loved on Netflix.
I respect that, man.
But I figured, you know what? Like,
how many people are doing that? Like that shows that you're taking some initiative.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I love my wife too much. I don't want to have to like constantly be in battle about this, and I really want to live my life in a way that pleases God. And so like
Yeah.
it's not worth it. That show is not worth it to me. And so I try to make my life easier simply by removing opportunities. This is the way that I practically flee from it.
I love it. I love it.
This is how I'm cutting it off. Like this is part of the strategy. So one thing that I've mentioned in a video that I've done before, I'll link it up in one of the corners for the cards, a guy's view on Christian modesty. I'd like to hear your opinion on this.
Woo!
I talk about how there's a difference.
This is spicy because we've touched on this on our channel, and it's garnered quite a bit of passionate opinions.
Yeah. So in my opinion, there is a difference between like looking at someone lustfully and just recognizing beauty. So, I have several sisters. I'd like to say I would never admit it to their face because I'm always teasing them that you're ugly, you're adopted, or whatever the case is. But like the reality is, I look at my sisters and I'm like, they are beautiful women. But at the same time, there's nothing like, there's a line that I know that I would never cross. Like there's no lustful thoughts towards them. I'm just recognizing, oh, that's beautiful. Like there's no sin in recognizing, man, that sunset is beautiful. It's gorgeous. Like that's reflecting God's brilliancy in creation. And I feel like I can do that as well with my family.
Of course, yeah.
And so there's a line that
a level of purity. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're looking at them, and the Bible even talks about look at young men as brothers and young women as sisters.
So do you think it's possible to do that? Because we can do it with our biological family, right? Is it possible to do that with other people? So I'll give you an example. Emily and I watched the movie Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
Not too long ago, because that just came out, and of course, we wanted to support, show up. Emily's like, man, there are a lot of good-looking Asians in that movie.
Hello.
My answer wasn't like, how dare you? Like, I'm offended as your husband. I said, yeah, you're right. And it wasn't like a lustful thing. It was just recognizing, wow, these people are crafted in a way that is pleasing to the eyes. But
Sure.
Is that something that we can actually do, or is there danger in that? What is your opinion on that?
The Bible does talk some about outward appearance. It talks about King David being a good-looking guy.
That's true. Oh, that's a good point.
So there is a level of healthy. I just appreciate God's creation. But I do think you got to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm dwelling, because I've done some modeling, and I was around just models, and if I'm suddenly dwelling so much on outward appearance that that's consuming my thoughts. Because God does care more about what's on the inside. So I'm getting off a little bit, but I have had to check myself and be like, am I putting too much, am I concentrating too much on outward appearance? It is something I gotta be careful with.
Have you ever met someone?
What do you think?
No, I like that. And this is kind of what I want to piggyback off that.
Okay.
Have you ever met someone that was just like, man, this person might not be like these Hollywood's definition of hot or whatever, but there's something about them that is so attractive. I don't know what it is, because it's not completely like a physical thing, but I'm drawn to them because they are beautiful in a way that's deeper than the skin and than the surface.
Absolutely.
What do you think it is about that kind of person? What is attractive about someone in that respect?
A person's personality. Like for Morgan, of course, my wife is beautiful, but she laughed at my jokes. She really had just this super wild, carefree, raw personality that I loved. So she had both.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool. To me, what it signifies is that there's something that's attractive, but then there's beautiful.
Yeah.
And those aren't always the same thing.
Oh, absolutely, man.
And what the Bible is talking about is hey, we it's nice to look good. It's nice to be attractive. You want to put your best foot forward, as it were.
Right.
But the real thing that matters the most is beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty in the character sense, beauty in as to who you actually are as a person, not so much what you put on or what you put out.
100%. So yeah, I do think that this is going to look different for every person. We have the Holy Spirit, and be sensitive to how the Holy Spirit would speak to you. Because when you're looking at a person, you're just appreciating their beauty, but then maybe you feel like, well, this is kind of turning into something that's a little questionable. Ask the Lord, is this something I need to back off from? Lord, help me, show me. Because I do think that it could look different for everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
piggyback on that.
I think the most important thing, again, what you're saying is the Spirit leading in our lives.
Yeah.
It could look different. Some of us might still be able to have an Instagram or not have the whole parental control thing. We're not trying to say that there are specific things that you must do. The most important thing is just to be willing to follow where God is calling you to be.
Absolutely. He'll lead you guys. Don't stress and be like, oh no, is this kind of crossing the line? I don't think it is, but maybe it is because I really think that this person's attractive. Just be calm and be like, Lord, I need you to lead me. And he will lead you.
Part of the reason why sin is particularly toxic and dangerous is because there's such a high degree of shame involved in especially the Christian community.
Yeah.
So if I'm struggling with with alcohol, that's kind of like one of those that, you know, you're not judged as harshly. In fact, there are programs in the church, you know, for Alcoholics Anonymous
Sure.
or Celebrate Recovery, where you're
There's
kind of like
a lot of sympathy, a lot of grace.
sympathy and grace. But when it comes to a lust addiction or pornography, that's never the kind of thing that you could ever bring to the light. And this is why it's so toxic. It's because it breeds shame and it breeds secrecy,
condemnation,
and condemnation. And that's a terrible place to be. One of the things that you were saying, that's one of the best things that you could do if you're struggling with this is bringing it into the light. What do you mean by that?
I mean, as hard as that is, especially I think the first time when you have been hiding it, but to be, I mean, the Bible talks about living in the light. Like, do whatever it takes to live in the light. Humble yourself. It's a scary thing, but humble yourself and to just admit it to somebody. Find somebody who you can trust and be like, man, I'm struggling with this. And then if it is, you know, if you do end up falling back in, just be open to people and be like, man, I'm falling again. I really need help. Being in the light. Don't close yourself off. Don't hide it.
I mean, and like practically speaking, this is actually something I do with Emily. Like when I'm struggling in seasons with lust or whatever the case is, like I have an open communication with Emily. Hey, Emily, this is where I'm at. I'm struggling with things. And rather than like be secret about it and have that shame and that like fear dominate me, I step into the light and say, Emily, like I need your support. I need your prayers in this. I have wronged you and I'm falling and I'm struggling. Or I'll go literally to like a pastor or a best friend.
I was going to say the open communication with the wife is awesome. I would also encourage find like a male. If you're
seriously.
a guy's watching, find a male that you can go to so that it doesn't put maybe too much heaviness on the wife. That's something I thought about.
Maybe you have to exercise wisdom with that. But
exercise wisdom.
The point is having someone that you can come to and be open and like brutally honest.
Don't try to take this on
by yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
We're not meant to walk out our struggles by ourselves.
So we want to continue this conversation of the difference between like attraction or love, infatuation versus true love. In fact, we did a video on that on your channel.
Yes, we did.
Click over here, check it out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel because we're going to continue making videos just like this one.